everybody doing today? So how many people came here to learn something? How many people just came for the free pizza? Come on. Come on. Okay, you know what? Hey, I appreciate your honesty. I'm going to give you a rocket ship, okay, buddy? So guys, thanks so much for coming out today. I know you guys got exams and things like that. So if you got any questions, thoughts as we go along, you know, people say if you've got a question, typically 3 other people have a question in the room as well too, okay? So don't be afraid to ask, talk, engage me. I'm here for you guys, okay, to really give you guys some things that help me out, okay? Whew. I won't fall over, I promise. Anybody know who said this quote? Today's the youngest you're ever going to be. You've got to live like it, you got to live young every day, and that's what I try to do. Anybody have any idea who said this?
Is it you?
No, but you know what? I did just say it. I'll give you a hint. He owns a basketball team.
Mark Cuban.
Yes, that guy, right? You guys all know who Mark Cuban is? Pretty savvy business guy, right? I think he's done a few good things. Who said Mark Cuban?
Me.
Okay, you guys can split it in half. I'm just kidding. I'll get you another one. I got lots. Okay. So if there is one thing that you guys could do today that would put yourself in a position of financial freedom in 10 years from now, would you do it?
Yeah.
Yeah? You do it? Okay, cool. I'm done. Enjoy the pizza.
Is it illegal?
What's that?
Was the one thing illegal?
No, but I like your ambition. Okay, it's not illegal.
I didn't say I would.
Okay, just checking, that's all right. No, totally not illegal, okay? So, who am I? So Dan said it. I am, first and foremost, I am a proud dad. We just had our first baby. My wife and I got a 7-month-old girl. She is the light of my life and number one thing in my life. She is absolutely awesome, okay? I'm the owner of Mission35 Mortgages, so if you see some shameless plugs here, that's my company, okay? I am also the co-owner of Mission35 Education with my friend Jeff over there, another Mohawk grad, okay? And I also own a private lending company. What a private lending company does is we take in money for investment and we lend it out to people as well too. Similar to a bank, but much, much smaller, okay? And lastly, I'm a real estate investor with a 22-unit portfolio. Okay, so about me, that's who I am. What I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about is a couple things. So number one, I'm going to tell you what my goal was ever since I was a kid. I'm a big visionary. I like to sort of see things. The second thing I'm going to tell you about today is sort of where I came from when I was sitting in your chairs. I actually used to study in this room. It's crazy coming back here. And then the third thing I'm going to tell you about that number one thing. Okay? It's always been a dream of mine to be financially free by the age of 35. Okay, so financially free, what does that mean to you guys? You guys probably heard that term. What's financially free mean to you guys?
Going to a restaurant and not having to look at the prices on the menu.
That's awesome. Yes, that is wicked. Yeah, totally. Anybody else? That's a wicked example. I like that. Yeah.
No debt.
No debt. Awesome. We're going to talk about that too, I agree. Awesome.
Not having to live paycheck to paycheck?
Awesome. You know what? That was exactly, all those things were in my frame of mind as well too. I made up this number and we call it the FIA number, okay? It's the F it all number, okay? If I use the other word instead of forget once in a while, I apologize for anybody that's a little sensitive in here, okay? But the FIA number to me was a number that I could say, it wasn't millions and millions of dollars, but it's all those things that you said. I could go to a restaurant and not worry about the menu. Do you know what I mean? I could not have bad debt. There's 2 different types of debt, and if we get a chance, we'll talk about it. Good debt is tax deductible. All the biggest companies in the world have millions of dollars worth of debt. Debt's okay. Bad debt, which is not tax deductible, which doesn't generate revenue, is not good debt. But good point there as well too. Okay? So getting my FIA number, that was my dream. That was my goal, to be in that position, because you know what? An FIA, so if you're at a job you don't like, guess what you can do? You can leave. You can say, forget it, right? If you're with coworkers that you don't like, you can say, see guys, I don't really like you that much, okay? If you're not committed to the vision that the company has, when you guys end up graduating, you can leave. You could go do something that you're passionate about. Go do something that you're committed to. That sound like a good idea? Sweet, good, we're gonna get there, okay? So what helped me get there? I started my own business. I purchased real estate, and I took some educated risks. Okay? The biggest one I'm going to talk to you guys about today is the middle one. It's purchasing real estate. It's one little thing that I did right after post-secondary education, which literally changed my life. Okay? On my 35th birthday, I'm 37 years old right now, July 17th, 2014, I hit my FIA number. I sold a property, I had enough money in the bank, my number was $1.85 million. Is that a lot? To some it might be, to some it's not, but that was enough to say, hey, I don't have to look at the menu anymore, and you know what, my bad debt is gone. And if I'm in a job that I'm not committed to, I can leave. Or if I want to start a company, which I believe in, which is Mission35 Mortgages, I can. And guess what? If anybody laughs at me, I don't give a shit. Because if it doesn't work out, that's okay. I've got something else to work on. Does that make sense? Good spot to be in. So what did I do? I used to think when I was younger and Mohawk and stuff like that, 35 was old. It's not. That's what I did on my 35th birthday. That's me in there, okay? I threw one heck of a party on my 35th birthday. Okay? Give you guys a little bit of an idea who I am. I believe you should celebrate all your wins. Because if you guys don't celebrate them, nobody else is going to. So make sure you celebrate them. I'm a big into visualization as well too. When I purchased my house, I visualized my Freedom 35 birthday party. Okay? So I had so much fun that night. You guys heard I said it was in July, right? Yeah, I actually broke out the snowblower that night as well too and started going up and down my driveway. It was in July. There was no real reason for it. But you know what? It was my Freedom 35 birthday party. That was me. Well, not really me, but a guy that kind of looked like me the next day. Okay? And also me the next day after my party. And the reason why I show you this is because I worked so hard on a dream, I worked so hard on a goal, and I was super happy that I achieved it, but there was one person that couldn't make it to that party. And that was my dad. 2 years prior to my Freedom 35 birthday party, my dad got diagnosed with acute myeloid leukemia, and he died 3 months later. Has anybody here lost a parent? I'm sorry. It's shit. It sucks. Okay? My dad, biggest fan, biggest supporter, and one of the guys that gave me the courage to start Mission 35. Love that guy. He's a goofball. Okay? Lots of stories about him for anybody who wants to stick around. Okay? So, how do you get to your party? Because I think you guys should all throw a party when you get to whatever your dream destination is. I think it's one house, some sacrifice, and a little bit of courage. Okay, you guys on board? Want to see how to do it? Cool. So I want to put myself in your situation here. So you guys, I didn't come from money. I didn't come from, my parents had enough to give me things, but it's not like, it's not like I was driving a super fancy car to school. I had a 1986 Smurf blue Chevy Cavalier with the door panels falling off, okay? I actually tried to put in a hot stereo and it was the wrong size and it was falling out and blowing that taillights every time I turned it on. Just to give you an idea where I came from. First time I got pulled over because the taillights were on was pretty embarrassing. I took 3 years, like Dan said, business administration program. And you know what? I actually got out of business admin 3 years. I'm from Hamilton. Parents lived in Hamilton. I got out relatively unscathed from the debt monster. Okay? How much is tuition for you guys today? Like I know when I went, it was around $1,500 to $2,000.
Oh, a semester.
$6,000.
$6,000? Yeah. Anywhere 5, 6, depending on the program per year. So I graduated a while back, okay? So it was cheaper, but I was able to live at home. I was had what I thought was a pretty good financial awareness. Do you know what I mean? I worked, my dad taught me to save money. So I got out relatively unscathed, with not too much debt, right? Then these buggers came along to Mohawk College one day. Does anybody know who KOM Consultants is? Do they still have this program here?
I don't know if they commit anymore, but I know they have an office over on
So I'll tell you a little bit for those of you who don't know. They came in and they said, business administration students, you could upgrade your diploma to a degree in 1 year in Sydney, Australia. Oh, I was like, oh my God, that sounds like an amazing idea. Like who wouldn't want to do that, right? So a whole bunch of us wanted to do it. We all signed up for the program. When it eventually got down to it, there's only 2 of us that were actually going to go, okay? You know what? It was not cheap. I graduated in June from Mohawk College, save, because I was super excited to go away to university, and I got on a plane January 1st, 2002. Anybody know what happened 3 months earlier to that? September 11th. You guys know about that, obviously. Scary time, you know what I mean? My parents did not want me to go away, let me tell you that. So sometimes you just got to really be passionate and pursue the things that you want to do. So it was expensive, to say the least, right? I'm going to tell you about this cost because you know what? I'm a smart guy. Does anybody here have debt? I just want to see if I'm talking to a room full of people without debt.
Wow.
Okay, cool. Yeah, it's pretty normal, right? So, guy, no debt. I saved some money. I'm going down to Australia. I talked to the travel agent, the damn travel agent. You know what he says to me? And this is learning for you guys too. Has anybody here had a layover somewhere? Did you know that when you have a layover, you don't have to hop on the next plane?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. As soon as I found that, I was like, oh my gosh. So we were going from Sydney, Australia, and then landing in Bangkok, right? And me and my friend are like, let's take 2 months in Southeast Asia on the way down. What a great idea. So we ended up backpacking. We went Bangkok, Vietnam. Then we ended up going through Vietnam. We hopped on this Mekong Delta, went into Cambodia. We traveled all through there. From Cambodia, we went down to Singapore. We did Kuala Lumpur, hopped on a plane, went to Bali. Like, yeah, you'd think I was a rock star, but I was living off of credit, of course, right? So, just so you guys don't, is anybody here from Australia, England, anywhere in there? Just out of curiosity. Their semesters run a little bit different, right? So we left January. Their semester starts in March, okay? So we got there last week of February. Can't really see it lying there. I'm in Australia, but I had already blown my budget. I haven't even started school yet, and I'm like, shit, I don't have any money left. Like, what am I gonna do, right? But I was like, you know what? Have you guys ever had this mentality where like, whatever, like, I'll figure it out later. I'll figure it out later. Oh God, that was a bad mentality to have, right? But I know maybe some of you have had that. I definitely had that. School started beginning of March. You know what I had to do beginning of March before I even started school? I had to call up my parents and ask them to increase the line of credit. That was not a good phone call. Like, Brian, this line of credit was supposed to last you for the entire year. Has anybody had this conversation with mom or dad before? Not fun. Not fun. But I was like 10,000 miles away, so what are you going to do? Are you going to raise it or not? Okay, so maybe I laid a little guilt card there, okay? So, bad decision after bad decision for me. So trust me, there's lots of hope. If you guys feel that you're underneath some, I made tons of bad choices. I didn't live on res. Res would have been cheaper. Me and my friend decided, let's rent an apartment. That's a wise idea. That's like twice as much as residence would be, right? Oh my God. I want to smack my like 20-year-old self sometimes. And I traveled at any opportunity. Again, the thought process that kept going through my mind was, never going to do this again. Never going to have this opportunity again, right? Do you guys ever feel that way? It's kind of like, I got to do this now because I'm never going to do it again, so money doesn't matter. So that's how I lived. Had to raise my line of credit. Had to do all those things. Spent a ton of money. In July, because July is their off month, took time to travel again. Has anybody been to Australia? No? Oh, it's beautiful, eh? It's just beautiful. Like when you see Sydney Harbour Bridge and the Opera House, it just makes you want to spend more money. Okay? And we went up to north, we went to Cairns, Great Barrier Reef, we ended up going down to Fraser Island, Whit Sundays. It's a beautiful country. Does anybody know what the capital is of Australia for a water bottle?
Canberra.
Oh, you're good, that's right. I thought it was Sydney forever, right? Bet some of you guys did too. Smart guy.
Know somebody and I got this?
Well, hey, you gotta keep you on your toes, you know what I mean? You never know what's coming next. Might be giving away money soon, okay? So, I spent a whole bunch of money, right? I'm on my way home. It's December. Okay, all right, I gotta go home. What do? Let's go to New Zealand for 3 weeks now. Let's spend some more money, right? Like, I'm never gonna be in this situation again, so I might as well spend more money, right? You guys just waiting to see what the debt load is at the end, aren't you? You're like, what the heck is this tally, okay? So why not take 3 more weeks? So I went backpacking through Auckland, Rotorua, Christchurch, Queenstown. That's me as a stick figure, bungee jumping. I went bungee jumping there as well too. So much fun for anybody who hasn't done it. Great time. So you ready now? You ready? So a tour around the world, okay? 1 year with no debt. I had no debt in 1 year. Tuition to go down to Australia, $20,000. This is back then in 2002, okay? 1 year, 20 grand. 6 grand sounds good now. Just kidding. So 20 grand, because what I didn't really understand at the time is when you're taking the position of an international, like when you're an international student, you're taking the position of someone local, so you got to pay twice as much. KOM consultants didn't quite hammer that point through anyways. So, just kidding. They're great people, I'm joking. Living expenses, another 20 grand. Fun, I didn't keep receipts. I paid cash, okay? I was taking money out of the ATM. It was a lot. Let me bear in mind too, okay? I saved money hard when I graduated from Mohawk, right? Because I was able to work full-time July, August, September, October, November, and not spend money. So I was able to save for 5 months at a job making probably about $27,000 a year, so it wasn't a lot. And I even worked when I was down there as well too. I worked when I was down in Australia. I worked at a clothing store. Has anybody heard someone with an accent before? Of course you guys have, right? And you think they sound really cool? I tell you, if you go away, you get to be that cool person. You know, it was so fun. Every time I talk, people were like, wow, nice accent. I'm like, I know, eh? Eh? Like, I was saying eh every 10 seconds, right? You guys would have smacked me. But anyways, eh? So I was 30 grand in debt. 1 year, now, does anybody here have, and you don't have to share if you don't want to, does anybody here have, now, and I wasn't a doctor coming out of school. This is going back 13 years ago. Does anybody think they'll have more than 20 grand worth of debt when they graduate?
Yeah.
32. Cool. With inflate, well, not cool. You know what? There, that deserves a water bottle, okay? Here, you can put some vodka in there for that 32 grand worth of debt. Okay. So, 30 grand in debt. Today, that's 30 grand in debt back in 2002. It's about almost 40 grand today. There is inflation. We all know about inflation, right? Things yesterday cost more today. Make sense? Yep. All right, so I was in the same spot. I had a lot of debt. What do I do? What's next? Do you guys have this conversation going on? How many are graduating this year? Cool. Are you scared? And I say that with love. Seriously, because you know what? You're going to be out applying for jobs, looking for money, right? This is what I came back. I'm a pretty high energy guy. I came back after the trip of a lifetime. Now I got to get a job. I got to live at home. Can you imagine how that looked? I love my parents. Bless them. Amazing people. But after traveling the world and then going out on a Friday night and your mom saying, hey, where are you going? Mom, I've been in Bangkok, okay? Don't ask where I'm going. I can take care of myself, right? And pay off debt. How excited do you think I was about that? That's a conversation you guys are going to have, okay? This is me. Go crazy. So let me tell you about my first job. So I told you, if I didn't tell you, I worked for a bank before I left, okay? I went back to the same bank that gave me a job in the first place, and I ended up saying to him, hey, I graduated Mohawk. I've got a business administration diploma. I went down to Australia, and I got a degree in international management. While I was down there, I even went online and I upgraded I got a personal financial planning designation. Okay? You guys think I just partied my face off. I did pass. Okay, I see your looks. Okay? And you know what they said to me? You know what they said? They said, Brian, that's amazing. I said, I know. I know it's amazing. I will happily accept your CEO position. Thank you. You know, I am so educated right now, you'd be stupid not to make me your supreme ruler of the bank. They had a different idea. They said, Brian, good for you. You can have the exact same job that you left from. Fuck you! It's like went through my head. But what I said was, thank you. Thank you very much. I would happily take that job for $27,500 back then. I will happily take that job again. I'm like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, what am I going to do? Right? $27,500, you know what that is today? Give or take. Back then, that was 2003. It's probably equivalent to around $35,000, $37,000 for a starting job. Does anybody have looked into starting salaries for their position?
Yep.
Is it in that range?
15 an hour.
15 an hour, so 35 to 37 would be around 17 an hour, give or take. So you know what? Starting a job. Starting to get depressed yet? I'm going to show you a solution, don't worry, okay? So I started thinking, is there another option? Because here's the thing. I started thinking to myself, oh, it's perfect cut right in the middle. Anybody? Here, you know what? I'll if you know what that says, I'll pay your tuition. No, I'm just kidding. Okay. Yeah. Too late. So, I would have been paying attention more, Brian. Damn it. I thought you were out of water bottles. Okay. Is there another option? So let's put this into perspective, right? So $27,500 a year after tax dollars, about $900 every 2 weeks, okay? I'm 30 grand in debt, living in my parents' basement. Okay, $900 after tax, after accumulated interest, I'm in my parents' basement raising children in my head. Right? I'm never going to pay off this debt. Does anybody here have parents, family, friends that say, first thing you should do is pay off your debt?
Yeah.
It's a prudent thing to do. Pay off your debt. That's what my dad said. Love my dad, rest his soul. That's what he grew up with, and that's what he learned. Pay off your debt. I'm not here advocating spend tons of money and don't pay off debt, but I am advocating, is there a difference? That says save money versus pay off debt, okay? What ends up happening is you can live in an emotional, financial roller coaster sometimes. Tell me if this has ever happened. I take dieting, for example. Anybody here been on a diet before? Yeah? Yeah, you guys are too young to diet. You don't need that. I have. When you get my age, you need to diet. Like this, I don't look this good without dieting. Just kidding, okay? So you go on a diet and you say no sugar, no carbs, no beer, no this, no that for a long, long period of time, right? And then you get off your cleanse, you get off your diet, and then what do?
Binge.
Go bananas! You're totally right. It just go, I want everything right now. Give me pizza, give me everything, right? Same thing happens with your finances, right? I would pay of my $900 net paycheck every 2 weeks, I'd end up putting $825 or $850 towards the debt. And feel good about it. Be like, good job, Brian. You're a very responsible citizen. Good job. 2 weeks later, do it again. 2 months goes by. This sucks, right? I've been working my ass off for 2 months. I am entitled to a vacation. I'm going to Dominican. Here's $1,500. Let's put it on the credit card. Let's go, guys. Let's have a blast. Shit, I'm right back in the same scenario that I was 2 months ago. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I'm sure that'll never happen to you guys because you're going to say, Brian said this would happen, okay? So don't let that happen to you. So that's where I said, there's got to be a different way. Bought a house. One of the best things that I ever did leaving post-secondary education. I started to think, okay, what if I make the minimum payments on my debt and start saving up money for a down payment on a house? Does that seem weird? Does that seem different from conventional wisdom? If it does, good. I think I have different results. Okay? So, buy a house. So I bought a duplex, 2003. Long time ago, right? I'm going to show you some numbers here on how this worked for me, and then I'm going to show you an example in today's dollars. Because I don't want, the last thing I would ever want you guys leaving here is thinking, oh, that worked for Brian like 13 years ago. But he doesn't know what's going on. That was 13 years ago. It works today too. You guys with me? Awesome. So, 13 years ago, I saved up money, bought a house for $165,000. Was not the Taj Mahal. I know you can't buy a house for that today. We'll get to it in the next numbers, okay? Savings required at that time, only $5 grand, okay? So I needed $5,000 to get a $165,000 house. Rental income at the time, so you'll notice some of these numbers you're like, that's crazy, can't do that. I'll show you other numbers where it's like, do you think you could rent a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom apartment for $875 a month right now? No. You wouldn't want to live there. Fair to say? Mm-hmm. I had a 2.5-story Victorian home. It was my first place. It was decent. I rented out the 2nd and 3rd floor. It was a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom unit. 3 guys upstairs paid me $875 a month. I lived in the main floor. To say it was a shithole would have been nice. It was terrible, okay? It was not a nice place. But that's part of the sacrifice. My expenses, mortgage, was $1,100 a month at 6.75%. You guys know what rates are today?
Not that high.
You darn right they're not that high. Yeah. 2, 2.5, 2.3. So I was paying 3 times, I feel like my dad right now. I was paying 3 times the rate you were. It's true though. I was paying 3 times the rate. I just had that moment. You guys will have that moment one day too. $1,100 a month at 6.75%. Property taxes were $200 a month. Utilities, another $200 a month. Total expenses, $1,500 a month. Minus my rental income, which was $875, puts me at $625 a month. What do you guys think about that?
Before the debt.
Oh, yeah, I still had the debt. You're absolutely right. I still had to make my minimum payments on my debt. And I'm keep an eye on that. So $625 per month. So you know what? The sacrifice, it wasn't a penthouse apartment. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't bad. It wasn't great. Like literally, it was a mattress in the middle of a room. Okay? It wasn't, let's call a spade a spade. It was a mattress in the middle of a room, right? But the reality was, I don't, do you guys ever get concerned about perceptions, about what people think about you? I'm sure you don't. Maybe that was just me when I was younger, right? I used to have a perception that I had to be a big deal, had to have something nice. I'll tell you something. That place, like I said, it was no Taj Mahal, it was no penthouse, but as soon as I brought somebody over, even if I had a date and it was going good, and we went back to my place, as soon as I said I owned it, I got respect. Just so you guys know that, right? Because it may think it's cool to rent a really nice place, way better to own a crappy place. That makes sense? That was true for me. So $625 a month, not bad. Do you know what? Could I have rented probably a crappy apartment then for $625 a month? Probably. Do you know what I mean? But I was owning for $625 a month. What do you guys think about that? Does that make sense?
Like you were making profit, $625 a month?
So I was so the income was coming in, so I had to pay, so out of all the expenses, all I had to pay was $625 a month, and I was owning it. Correct.
Okay.
Because it was high, the expenses were $1,500, but then I got income from people living upstairs, so then the leftover expenses were $625. So that's how much I was living for. So, what's the payoff? I told you, do you guys remember what I said? If you could do one thing today that would change your life 10 years from now. You guys remember that? I know I've been talking for a while. And you got exams on the mind, and now you're settling into that nice pizza coma, and you're like, what? Do you think he'll notice if I get up and get another slice? I know you're thinking it. How much do you guys think I sold it for 10 years later? Just before my Freedom 35 birthday party.
Double.
Double?
Or 3/4.
Any other questions? Any other thoughts? See, now this is where I get to have my other, I feel like I'm on The Price is Right. 350, do I hear 400? No, okay, so how much? So you say double, 350?
You said you sold it for 1.8 million, right?
I said that was my net worth when I sold it. Good question, those guys listening. Get another pen just for that. Yes.
What was the location?
It was near Lock Street.
Oh, okay, that changed things. I'm from Hamilton too.
Okay.
Yeah, 400.
400? Okay, so $475,000 10 years later. Bam, that's why I can afford a water bottle, okay? So I kept that house for 10 years. I bought it for $165. 10 years later, $475. Again, I'll pay, what does that say in the middle? Sorry. The mortgage?
Yeah.
I remember.
I knew it.
Yeah.
I thought it was too cheap.
I like it. The mortgage is down to $115,000. So as you guys know, when you have a mortgage, the banks do not make billions of dollars every year for nothing. You're paying interest and interest and interest, but you're paying a little bit of principal down every single month. So, little bit. So from my $165 that I started with, got it down to $115,000 in just over 10 years. What does that equal? $475 minus the $115. I took off real estate costs, some legal fees, and things like that. Leaves you with a net of about $336,250. How's that? Is that pretty good?
That's really good.
Do you guys think that would change your life?
Yeah.
Yep.
Right? Does that make you a multimillionaire?
Nope.
Nope. Does it give you a little swagger when you walk into a room?
Okay.
Right? Are you looking at the menu as much?
No.
Okay, and I like that because I did a bunch of other things to help leverage that, but that was the catalyst and that was the starting point. Okay? That gave me a big chunk of my FIA number that I talked about at the beginning. That was a big chunk. That, when I sold that house, that gave me enough to pay off the mortgage on the house that I live in today. Imagine being mortgage free at 35.
That's awesome.
Weird.
You know?
Strange.
Totally. The average Canadian pays off their house by the time they're 58. I did 23 years early by buying a house straight out of post-secondary school and not paying off my debt. Okay? Gives you strength, gives you courage. Guys, have this work for you in the background, okay? I believe in you guys. I remember graduating from college, and I remember thinking to myself, man, me and Jeff, another day for another time, we started our first business, which was a clothing business. Whoa, I don't know anything about clothes, okay? Like, that was a disaster. But we had a ton of fun, right? We had a great time, right? Anyways, good thing social media wasn't what it was today, or that would have been bad even quicker. I hope you guys develop an app one day, make $1 million. I hope you guys, you know what, develop a viral video and get tons of hits and get advertising. Like, I hope that stuff happens for you. But you know what? 95% of small businesses fail. Have this work in the background while you're pursuing your dream. Does that make sense? A small thing, I don't care if you're in healthcare, if you're in business, whatever program you're in, buy a house. I don't care if you live in it, don't live in it. Buy a house. Live with your parents if you can. Live with friends if you can. Buy a house. Okay? You guys gonna buy a house? I don't care if you use me as a mortgage broker. I would do it for you. Okay? Yeah. But, hey, I'm still a self-promoter, okay? But, do it. I turned $5,000 into $336,000 over 10 years, okay? It's not a get rich quick, okay? I think that stuff is bullshit, to be honest with you. It is very, very, very hard to get rich quick. If you get rich quick, you're gonna lose it just as quick, because you don't know how to manage money. My dad had a great saying, if you can't manage 30 grand a year, how the heck are you gonna manage 300 grand a year? If you're broke making 30 grand, what are you gonna do when you have 15 or 20 grand a month coming into your bank account? You're not gonna know what to do with it. Learn how to manage what you have right now. Oh, wow, look at that, Mission35 mortgages, there it is again. Okay. So does it work today? That says yes, okay? Just so you know. So, do you guys wanna see an example in today's dollars?
Yeah.
Cool, okay. See, I'm not full of it. So do you guys believe that you could buy a house in Hamilton today for $450,000?
No.
I believe it.
Yeah, maybe downtown, like
believe
the
it.
tall one.
Stay down right now.
You could buy a house for $450,000. I believe you can, for sure.
Well, I mean, can we?
Well, okay, good question. Good question. Can you? So, does anybody live in a student house right now? No? Used to? How much is rent going for? Is it $500 a room, $450? $475. So is it all inclusive?
Yeah.
All inclusive. So if I were to use $500 for a room, is that fair?
Yeah.
Are you guys okay with that? So let's say you can buy a $450,000 house, and let's say there's 3 bedrooms on the 2nd floor, 3rd floor, somewhere in the house. That would be $1,500 a month. We agree? Mm-hmm. And let's say there was a basement. You could live in the basement. My cool little basement, okay? You can put a mattress down there and be like Bri, okay? No? Okay, whatever. You guys have higher standards than me, okay? So $450,000 house, $1,500 a month income. So your mortgage, $2,000. You got taxes, $300 and change. Utilities, $450. Your total expenses, $2,800 a month. Does that sound ridiculous? Yeah, that's a lot of money. I agree. It's a ton. If you're renting it out for $1,500 a month as well too, does $1,300 sound like a lot of money?
Not near as bad.
You're right. If you guys, like you said, starting salary is going to be around anywhere from $15 to $17 an hour. That's $35,000 to $37,000 a year. Your after-tax income will be give or take $2,200 to $2,400 a month. You make minimum payments on your 30 grand worth of debt. Okay? You have enough money to pay for that. Does that make sense?
Too much.
Yeah. Can't you just rent someone, like get someone else to rent that space so you don't have to pay for it?
Even better. Totally. So
Then you still have to pay for like food and gas.
you're totally right. So me, I wanted to move out and get out of my parents' basement. That was important to me, okay? If you are fortunate to have amazing parents around, or someone that will let you couch surf, or someone that'll like, you know, you can live cheaper and you could rent out a whole property, have at it. Absolutely. Do you know what I mean? It's something where you guys need to get creative and think about it. You know, how can I get something working for me in the background while I pursue my dreams? That's a great question.
How did you get the people? Like, did you put ads up? Like, how did you find
For rent?
Yeah.
It's a great question. Back in my day, I just put a sign in the window, right? People would typically walk around where you want to live, right? Now, you put on social media, right? You put on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whatever. Yeah, people used to walk by where they want to live. You know what I mean?
Believe that.
Yeah.
They still do it actually next to an account.
Yeah, you know what? Well, like I've seen people, they sort of cruise around where they want to live, and that's one way. Renters is all about supply and demand. Do you know what I mean? If you're asking too much money, you won't rent it, right? You drop it, okay? You will not have an empty property if you do it correctly, okay? It's a good question. So a purchase price of $450,000 would require a minimum of a $25,000 investment. Again, I get it. Yep, but I like that. So you're sitting here going, Brian, I just told you I got 20 grand, 25, 30 grand worth of debt. Now you want me to come up with another 25,000? Yes, I do. Okay? And what I'm going to ask you and encourage you guys to do, and I tell my team this all the time, is never take no for an answer until you give someone the opportunity to say yes. You guys don't want to ask your parents for money. Maybe some of your parents don't have money, maybe some of them do. Don't be too proud. I'm telling you. I had to get my second property, my dad, I had to ask him for money. But I didn't want to ask him, so I made a business proposition to him. Okay, and some of your parents might be like this too. Do you guys know what Canada Savings Bonds are, GICs, things like that? They make a whopping 2%, 3%. Woo! Bad money, right? I went to my dad and I said, Dad, I need an extra $5,000 to get this house, right? I was sure about $5,000 for my second one. I said, I will pay you 10% in 1 year for $5,000. You know what he said to me? He goes, Brian, like I support you. I'd love to. He says, but I don't get it. He goes, why do you want a second house? You can only live in one at a time.
Damn.
I was like, yeah. I was like, Dad, you don't get it, right? But he took the money, right? I'm going to encourage you guys to think about it. Make sure you ask yourself the right question. And what I mean by that is if you say, I can't do it, you've already lost all your mental capacity for resources to find the answer. If you ask yourself, how do I get 25 grand? You're going to start thinking about it. You're going to ask people. You're going to say, hey, you know what? I'm going to partner up with Kelly. You know what I mean? I got 10 grand. I know I can only get 10 grand. I know Kelly can get 10 grand. Maybe we'll bring a third person in as well too. Now you're starting to get resourceful. Does that make sense? Does that start to put things into reality that it's possible, right? So let me show you this. Mortgage after 10 years, $307,000. 5% growth rate. Does anybody know what the growth rate is in housing in Hamilton right now? Hamilton GTA? It's ridiculous, right? March 2016 to March 2017, there was almost a 22.5% increase in real estate value. That's ridiculous. I did a 5% growth rate here, okay? So I think I'm being very, very realistic. Yes?
Do you think before it keeps growing, it's going to come back down at some point, much like the 2008 housing bubble? Do you think that's going to happen again?
That's awesome. I'm so glad you asked that. Did you get a water bottle yet or a rocket ship or anything like that?
I got a rocket ship.
Yeah, all right. Do you want a bottle?
Sure.
Good. Because you know what? My next slide is about that. Totally. Because that's a great question. I talk to so many people all the time and they always get concerned about a bubble, right? A bubble. Oh, what the heck? What am I going to do if there's a bubble? Okay? So let me show you if there is a bubble, okay? Can I come back to that one?
Sure. Because
I got a slide for that because that's great. Because I just want to show you here. If you did this, you'd have a profit of almost $400,000 in 10 years. Okay? Imagine you split that with your friend because you didn't have 25 grand today. Would you be okay with 2? Yeah. Right? Imagine you had to split it 3 ways. Is that going to change your life 10 years from now? Again, $400,000. Oop, got excited there. Got to your slide. Is that going to change your life? It's going to help. You don't know what your life's going to look like 10 years. Maybe you'll be massively successful with things and it'll just be icing on the cake. Maybe not. Maybe you'll be in a job that you hate, that completely sucks, with people that you can't stand around you, and be like, you know what? I'm going to sell that house, take this financial backing. I got 100 grand now I can start that business that I really wanted to start out of college, but because I got a job and started paying off debt, I never actually did it. That make sense? What was your name again?
Jack.
Jay?
Jack.
Jack? Thanks, Jack. Sorry. Perfect question. So what if there's a bubble? One of the reasons most people don't do this, what if the market goes down? What if there's a bubble? What if I can't do it? Here's a graph of the average housing price, which goes back to 1980. Okay? Anybody, it's hard to see there. You know what the average price was back in 1980? 50 G's. 50. I wish I could have said at 1 year old to my dad, and said, go buy 100 of these things, okay? They're going to be worth a ton, right? 1980. Do we see a trend there? I know, guys, I know you're studying for exams and I don't want to get all mathy on you, okay? But do we see a trend? Yep. 2008. Biggest dip that you can see on the graph, 2008. It's almost like I planted it. I promise I didn't, right? 2008, was there a bubble? Do you guys remember what happened in 2008? I know you do. Yeah. In the States, it was like Armageddon. It's like the world's gonna end. It's like, oh my God, what do we do? What do we do? Right? If you would have bought a house in the peak of the market in 2008, so let's just pretend you bought a house, bought your family home, 2008, all of a sudden, the entire market crashes out beneath you. 18 months later, you're even again. That's still scary about a bubble? That's the biggest crash that we've had in the past almost 40 years was in 2008. 18 months later, you're even. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What was your name again?
Marshall.
Marshall. Get the last one, buddy.
Hey.
Who's one of the richest guys in the world? Warren Buffett.
Yeah.
He says, if you guys haven't read any of his books, I encourage you. He's got a book called The Snowball. Biggest wealth transfers in the world are made in down markets. Picture this. Imagine you wanted to buy a Ferrari. And I hope you're all in this position one day, okay? And imagine someone said the Ferrari is half price today. Would you be like, no way, I don't want to buy that now. It's half price. That's ridiculous. That's the time you buy it, right? Markets go up. Markets go down. Buy when it's low. You're absolutely right. So what I say about a bubble, as long as you buy a house with strong financial foundations, A, it's a property that can rent. B, you can afford it. I don't give a shit about a bubble. Bring on the bubble. I'll buy some more.
What I meant by that was not so much being scared of a bubble, but an opportunity. Do you anticipate something similar to 2008 happening again and kind of being ready for it?
We call you up.
That's a great question.
Yeah.
Sorry, so my apologies. But I liked it where that direction went anyways. But so, do I anticipate one? For sure. Anything that goes up, it's going to go down, for sure. I think I'm a smart guy, but I would never try and time it. I can't time the market. Like, I'm in the market, I'm a mortgage nerd, I look at the rates all the time, I look at things that are going on. I'm not going to time it. But what I would say is that the most wealth is made when you're in the market, not trying to time the market. I'd rather buy a property today and have the market go down tomorrow and ride it through than try to time it. Does that make sense? Because it's so hard. There's so many factors that are way beyond me that I just can't do it. Does that answer your question? Yeah? So to answer your question, yes, I think there will be one. When? I don't know. But that wouldn't inhibit me from doing the plan. Make sense? Sweet, great question. So I told you guys again, find the money. Ask yourself, how can I find it, instead of telling yourself, I don't have it, honestly. Find a way to have it. Find a way to make it. Find investors. Find a mortgage broker that can maybe problem solve with you. I know a great one, okay? Find a way to make it happen. Don't say no, find out how, because I'm telling you, buying a house is about a month of stressful work. You guys study for exams, have classes that are way longer than a month. You got to get pre-approved and you got to find the money, okay? You got to ask some tough questions. You got to do some soul searching. You might got to fix some credit. You might have some crap you got to deal with, right? Deal with it. Okay? Don't pull the wool over your eyes. Just deal with it and move forward. Find a realtor. Realtor's going to help you find a house. Buy it. Put an offer in on it. Buy the house. Sign your papers. Send it to the lawyer. Before you know it, I remember sitting in my house having a beer on my back deck, it was my back deck, so forget how it looked. Having a barbecue by myself, drinking a beer, and looking at it going like, man, I'm 24 years old and I just bought my first house. Like, this is awesome. Like, this is awesome. I want you guys to have that feeling, okay? Because that changed my life and gave me leverage for the rest of my life, okay? Turn that 25 grand into $400,000, okay? Do you guys, wrapping up in a minute here because I know you guys got stuff. Do you guys understand leverage? How leverage works? Mm-hmm. Yeah? So, for those of you that don't, $25,000, does anybody here look at the stock market or mutual funds or things like that? Yep. What's a good return today in the stock market? Like if you had a great stock, what's a really good return?
Yes, 8%.
8%? I thought you'd say that's good.
That's really good.
Yeah, 8%. So let's even say 10%. Okay? Let's say I had $25,000 bucks, I stick it into the stock market and I make 10%. I hit it out of the park, I pick a really, really good one. 10% on $25,000, what am I going to have at the end of the year? What's that? 2,500. Close. Yeah, that was 1%. That's all good. 2,500, right? So my 25,000 over 1 year turned into $2,500. Whoop. That's okay. It's okay. We're almost done. So imagine I put that $25,000 into a house for 400 grand. And the market, as we said, the market's gone up over 20%, but imagine it only went up 5. What's 5% of 400? It's 20. 20 grand. Okay? Pay down the mortgage a little bit over 1 year. Principal payments go down by about 7. What does your 25 grand turn into in 1 year when you buy a house? $27,000. So would you rather have the world's best stock and make 2,500 bucks, or have it leveraging in a property making 27,000? That's why I say, find a way. Find a way. You guys are here with friends. Hey, buddy, dude, let's do this. Let's buy a house, okay? Don't just think about it, do it. Like I said here, the average Canadian pays off their house by the age of 58. You guys have an opportunity right now, like I said at the beginning, Mark Cuban, you're never younger than you are today. And time is on your side right now. All right? You guys have any other questions? Any other thoughts?
How did you get the down payment for your first house?
How did I get the down payment? So mine was 5. I saved a bit, and I asked my parents for money as well too.
Only 5.
Mm-hmm. But on 25, so again, I also paid 7%. My rents were also way lower as well too. So could you ask your parents for 10 grand? Could you ask your parents for 15? Could you ask a family member?
Have you ever had to deal with buying a house that needed a lot of renovations after moving into it?
Yep.
How did you deal with it?
I cried. And I did a half-assed job of fixing it. When I first started, like I'm not gonna lie, like I never told you guys this is get rich quick kind of thing. I had to go in while I had a full-time job. I had to go in and paint sometimes. I had to work till 5, 6 o'clock at night. Then I had to go to a rental property that I hadn't paint. Do you know what I mean? I earned that money a couple of times, right? You know what? Sometimes I had to put it on a credit card. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't easy, right? But working at a job that you don't like for 40 years or 30 years, or doing something that you tolerate, in my mind, is way harder. I'd rather have pain intensified for a short period of time so I can do shit that's fun right now. Do you know what I mean? This to me is fun, as crazy as I am. I like this. This brings me joy, right? Because I went through that pain for a short period of time. You guys have a choice. You can have a little bit of pain doing something that you tolerate or something that maybe you're like, yeah, I kind of like my job. You ever heard someone say that? Yeah, I kind of like it. Well, that sucks. Why don't you love it, right? So there's pain along the way. There's sacrifice along the way, like I said too. But the result and the reward is there. The confidence it gives you. You become resourceful when you have problems. Think about it this way. If you lost your job and you're renting a place, what would you do? Would you give up?
No.
You got it. You'd find a way to make it work. You know what I mean? You're not going to go live on the street. You'd find a way to make it work. So why not own a place, have a payment to make, and if you lost your job, find a way to make it work. That make sense? Oh, I get excited and keep flicking it here. So, last thing, guys. Get in touch with me if you want. We have an education program that we put together. So if you're not totally sick of my face and voice, okay, we're going to offer it to you guys for free. It's a 12-step education. There's 60 educational videos on there, all on buying real estate, businesses, some things like that. I want to give it away to you guys. Me and Jeff put it together because, you know what, Mohawk was really, really good to us. Yeah, I have great experiences. Mohawk gave me an awesome foundation. I love Mohawk. I have a special spot in my heart for it. So if you guys do want to enroll, it's members.mission35.com. I think there's a tremendous amount of content on there for you guys. Or you can email me as well too, and I'll give you the link. You can research. I'm at brian@brianhogman.com. And I just want to say thank you, guys. Thanks for being a great audience. Thanks for listening. I'll stick around if anybody has any questions, or if you guys have any questions now, I'm open to it. Cool. Awesome.